Just a little bit. All right. Today is March 10th. My watch now says 7. We are at the regular city council meeting. So now we are going, and it is getting ready to start. Here in a second, I'll turn the camera around and we will be recording everything. All right, we're getting a lot more people coming in for the meeting. Gonna stand up so I can be over people's heads for the moment.
He's out here.
Gonna show the crowd once more. A lot of people in. Oh no, that's why. Oh, you're okay, honey.
I was just trying to make sure I could see everybody's signs.
What's up? Oh my God! Thank you so much. No, you're going good. I'm just standing here because myself and my friend are recording this so we can post everything online.
Oh, awesome. They stream it as well.
Oh, wow.
City officials and our streaming audience. Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting the council meeting. Welcome to the March 10th, 2025 City Council regular meeting. We are meeting at 26 South Main Street. President Shoemaker will not be here tonight, so as President Pro Tem, I will be presiding over the meeting. Ms. Moss, could you please call the roll?
Bennett. Here. Payne.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
McKeever.
Here.
Dement.
Here.
Preston. Here. Kroll.
Here.
Creed.
Ms. Preston, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There we go.
The minutes from the February 24, 25 regular meeting and the February 25th, 2025 special meeting have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Mr. McKeever, seconded by Mr. Dement.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Moving on.
Mrs. Payne. I would like to
Yes,
make
Ms.
a motion at this time to waive the 3-day receipt rule on the agenda. There is a correction.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. McKeever.
Bennett.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
McKeever.
Yes.
Dement.
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
We'll move on to committee reports. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, Acting President Payne. Development has 3 items on tonight's agenda, items 8, 9, and 10. All items are on second reads. Item 8 is an ordinance reappropriating funds not spent in 2024. Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to issue an RFP to solicited firm to administer 2025 and 2026 CDBG programs, enter into an agreement with the awarded firm, and authorize the firm to file an application for the CDBG program. And item number 10 is an ordinance authorizing the auditor to create a fund for the ACGP grant monies and accepting and appropriating the funds from the Ohio Department of Development. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Engineering Committee, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, President Payne. Engineering Committee had a committee meeting earlier this afternoon where we have a request for appropriation of funds for demolition of some fire damaged properties in the city that are presenting a serious hazard. There was no insurance on these properties, and so therefore they're just standing abandoned. We did unanimously agree to appropriate the funds requested of $96,000 to demolish these existing buildings. We also have two items on the agenda for tonight. Second reading of a resolution for the proposal submitted by the Ohio Department of Transportation to resurface portions of US 50. Basically Eastern Avenue, beginning at South Watt Street and continuing east through the city, which is near Douglas. It is not appropriating any money. It is just basically allowing the Ohio Department of Transportation to work on a road in the city. And so that's a second reading. Second reading also ordinance appropriating funds to purchase 2 traffic controllers necessary for the Ohio Department of Transportation. The Bridge Street project, which will be coming out. We've got a couple intersections out there that have antiquated, basically worn out traffic controllers, and they do need to be updated, so there can be some synchronization of the lights, and that is the second reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Finance and Technology Committee, Mr. Kroll.
Finance Technology has a couple items on tonight's agenda. One of them is item number 8, which is the second reading, which is an ordinance reappropriating funds that were appropriated in the 2024 budget and not spent or encumbered at the end of 2024. We also have item ordinance appropriating $36,000 to cover the city's costs of the Ohio Department of Taxation's deficiency balance from the municipal net profit returns in 2024 and declaring emergency. I believe that covers everything. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Human Resources, and that's my committee. I do not have a report this evening. However, I would like to call committee meeting on assignment 25-009, which is the establishment of seasonal employee pay scale. This will be our third committee meeting, and I would like to call that for Wednesday, March 12th at 4 o'clock here in council chambers. Parks and Recreation, Mrs. Nickerson is not with council anymore. Is there anyone on her committee that has a report? Okay. Hearing none, we will skip that report this evening. Safety Services, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President. We have one item on the agenda, item number 7, at the second reading, accepting appropriating money from the Attorney General's office to reimburse the police department for training in the amount of $37,517.03. Prior to this meeting, we had a review session talking about the exterior roads around the park as part of the ACGP grant, and we did not get through all the items that we wanted to discuss, so we will have a second review session on that. I'll announce that at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creed. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Payne. Utilities has one item on the agenda, which is a second read. Item number 2, which is a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to apply for the Ohio Public Works Commission grant for the funds for the year 2026 to enter an agreement with the OPWC and accept grant funds if awarded. Note, we had a Utilities Committee meeting on March 8th regarding assignment 25-19, which is reviewing and looking at the current water rate ordinances. which was codified ordinance 9/1508 and 9/11/16.07. Signed, we drafted information and forwarded to the law director's office asking for their review and draft legislation on those items. And once it's complete, I'm asking to be brought back to the committee so I can present to the committee for further review and decide whether to move it on to the full council. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. McKeever. City Services Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, Ms. King. City Services has one item on the agenda tonight. It is item number 5. It's a resolution authorizing the filing applications and proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation in regard to transit and bus facilities. And that is all that I have this evening. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Payne. We have two things on the agenda. Number 6 is our second reading for $20,000 to go to the assistant house from the general fund. And item number 13, our first reading for the ordinance chapter 555 prohibiting camping in the coded ordinance of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio. And that's the end of our report.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. We'll move on to reports of our officials. Ms. Phoebe. Maybe.
I don't have a report tonight. Nothing to report tonight, President. Thank you.
Thank you. Auditors Budley.
I have several items on the agenda tonight. Councilman Kroll already talked about it. I'm just going to run through them real quickly. Item number 8 on the agenda, an ordinance appropriating funds from the 2024 budget. That's for expenditures that were approved last year but was not completed in time for billing. So, and we're not covered on a PO. So that is just reappropriating the money so we can make those payments. And then item number 10 on the agenda is setting up a fund to account for grant money. And then item number 14 on the agenda, that's appropriating $36,000 to cover the city's cost to pay taxes back. Municipalities can pay their net profit tax through the state, and when they do that, if they're owed a refund, then we get a bill from the state. So it's kind of, last year we didn't have to do this. Sometimes we get money back and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have to pay money back and sometimes we don't. And then I would like to announce a budget meeting for March 24th at 6:30. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Board Director Sullivan.
Thank you. We do not have a report this evening.
Okay, we'll move on to audience participation. Rule 22, any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I will give you a warning when there is 1 minute remaining. Do we have anyone wishing to address council this evening?
Can you hold this?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
Yes, I can.
Make sure it gets those 3 too.
Yep.
Alright, is this
Good evening. Thank you for this chance to speak. Thank you all for your service. We've been here before. I thought maybe we should stop dating like this, but I still had my say. I hope you all
Would
have
you
open
state your name
minds
and
still.
address?
I can't hear you. Oh, I'm sorry, so sorry. I always forget that. All right, Beverly Wilkes, 156 Hanover Drive, Chillicothe. Thank you.
Ms. Wilkes.
Okay. I hope you all still have open minds. I appreciate the dialogue that we've had, the opportunity. I have actually drafted an alternate ordinance for the camping ordinance, and I emailed it to President Shoemaker on Thursday afternoon, so you probably don't have anything yet. I thought I'd try to very quickly go through that, okay? I like the whereases. That's a lot of fun. So, whereas shelter and sleep are basic human needs for survival, like food, water, clothing, and air. Whereas all Chillicothe police officers must complete training on interacting with people in crisis. Whereas the Chillicothe Police Force includes a trained certified social worker to assist with interactions with people in crises. Whereas the Chillicothe Police procedures already use best practices, bringing in social service organizations to assist unsheltered citizens who must relocate. Whereas criminalization of homeless citizens is not a solution, but a deterrent to ending homeless. Whereas our existing shelter systems are not adequate to meet the number and housing needs of our homeless people. Whereas the amount of affordable housing in Chillicothe is far from sufficient for the households in need of it. Whereas the wait list for the subsidized housing in Chillicothe exceeds 2,000 households. Whereas people working full-time, even multiple jobs at minimum wage or low wages, less than $21 per hour, cannot afford market rate housing. Whereas the proposed ordinance is 24-117 is not cost effective, is not a solution, but it exacerbates the problem, is not needed because police procedures already use best practices. And whereas the UN Human Rights Committee has condemned the criminalization of homelessness. Therefore, I'll go down to number 2. If a camper or other unhoused persons needs to relocate from public or private property, a social worker advocate must be present to facilitate an acceptable alternate shelter for camping space or car space must be provided. The Community Resource Center is one of those possibilities. A low barrier shelter, we don't have. A free 24/7 camping location which meets applicable codes, we don't have. Allowed car parking places, we don't have. The unhoused person must be allowed to move all possessions except anything illegal. The social worker will an outreach team will keep in contact with the persons on a minimum basis. The social worker will make sure the data goes in HMIS. The police will not cite, fine, or incarcerate any homeless person who are working with social workers and police staff are moving. If someone's in crisis, they will be treated on site or driven to appropriate facility. The thing is, I know you all are legislators and you want law and order.
1 minute.
This is not something that we can legislate and morally. Thank you all.
I'm Linda Goober, 319 Rennick Avenue. And I am here like that to appeal to your higher selves. You won't listen to the voices of our city leaders. You don't listen to the agencies, the providers, that work on the front lines of our homeless situation. They do the heavy lifting so you don't have to. You won't listen to many who stood at your review meeting, but asked council to table or withdraw this cruel ordinance that you're hell-bent to pass. You don't hear the warnings that passing this will not be the flex that council thinks it is. Many cities that have enacted such ordinances have only pulled them back a few months later when they realize the increased cost of their city services and pending lawsuits. We all know who will wind up footing the bill for this. It's not going to be you. It's going to be all of us. It's going to be the taxpayers. You need us aid the voters. The cost of providing humane services to those who cannot enter local shelters will be far less than constantly shuffling people without housing out of their modest shelters to unknown locations. I don't hear any solutions being discussed that would create space for them to be moved to. Do you propose that they just wander the city streets from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. like a bunch of zombies? Is that going to make our city look any safer? Is it going to make us look any better? I don't think so. When do the people of our city become so self-absorbed and so self-important that they feel justified to scorn someone whose life is in shambles? I'm so tired of hearing people say they choose this, they choose drugs or alcohol. Why don't they get jobs? How successful would you be if you didn't have a place to shower, a place to have clean clothes, and be able to change clothes, and make yourself presentable to go out on a job interview? Could you do that? I don't think so. Is it okay with you that we've had homeless people die on our streets due to the failure and the inaction to create positive, workable solutions? If you're intent on moving forward with this, there is nothing that any of us here can say to you that will make a difference. You've already got your minds made up, and we know that. But be assured that this will not be the end of this. With all the advocates that are here tonight, we will continue to fight against this using all of the resources at our disposal, and we will be watching what happens. I would only pray for you to have a change of heart, but I think I will instead pray for those who deserve and need it. You know, as Christ said, for whatever you do unto the least of these, you also do to me. God save your souls.
Hi, my name is Sandra Black, and I live at 57 Chillicothe. I didn't know I was going to come here until the last minute, so I don't have anything planned or research as much as I would have liked to. But I do volunteer with a group that we go and cook there at the homeless shelter. And ever since it was purchased on Eastern Avenue, they have the beds, they have a place to take a shower, they have food. And I have a couple friends that work there, and I don't know why that, I know some people do want to camp, but I don't know why they don't go and stay at that, go to the shelter and have the food and the shower. And there are a lot of good people, and they're talking about if you want to help, you can have a group who would like to put their name on the list monthly to bring in a meal for them. So I know when it gets nice, there's not as many show up because they want to be out. And I don't understand all that, but I'd like to come back with people who are more in-depth into it than I am. But there are a lot of people who care. And we go there, and there are good people there, and they're thankful we're there and feeding them. And I just think needs to be more the churches get involved and more groups get involved and just feed the people, feed them, and I would say witness. So thank you.
Jamie Brown, 98 Douglas Avenue. Just a few stats, just to follow up on. So it's been repeated a few times. 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness. 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness. 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness. Last week, nearly $3 trillion was eliminated from the market from some instability. We'll leave that to others to interpret. Nearly $3 trillion was removed from the market last week. Before that, so that 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness was before $3 trillion was removed from the market. So 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness, and in addition, we are having continued economic struggle. Another statistic for you. So our GDP, depending on how you calculate it, because the current administration is trying to recalculate that,
We lost between 2.5% and 5% of our projected GDP. So 60% of Americans are $400 away from being homeless. And that was before a $3 trillion loss in the market, in addition to a reduction of about 2 to 5% of GDP growth. So the average income in Ross County is significantly lower by percentage. So there's the question about why folks would not go to the current available facilities. One of the reasons might be that the last point in time count was 131 unsheltered people. Something to consider when we do a point in time. But depending on who you listen to, anywhere between 50 to 70% of people who are actually unsheltered homeless folks will not self-identify because of fear of retaliation. So when we take that 131 number, we must account for between 50 and 70% of uncounted. So we have 131 plus unsheltered homeless folks in Ross County, and we have 80 beds in our most active shelter. So 131 plus with a capacity of about 80. If you account for a couple other projects in town, it's still probably under 100. I say that with confidence. So 60% of Americans are $400 away from homelessness, and at a time where we lost nearly $3 trillion in the market, a projected decrease in GDP of 2 to 5%, with under average income, with 131 plus point in time, and that was just a week or two ago, right? With 100 available beds. So I've seen the pictures, right? I guess to appeal to humanity, I wonder, this is how I feel. Someone offered the idea of a dumpster, and it felt like that was the first time that was brought up.
1 minute, Jimmy.
And then when the dumpster was brought up and folks were like, yeah, I've heard not another yeah about it. You know, like this, I'll end with this. I had a frustration at the review session. There was this reverberating sentiment that we're all on the same page, we're all working towards solutions. I worked with some of you, and I say this sincerely. I believe that you mean well for the community. I say sincerely, I do love you. But I don't really think we're looking for solutions together. I don't feel that way. I know the feeling of collaboration, and this is not collaboration. This is something else. My instincts are to be much meaner than I am being right now, but I'm choosing not to. So 60% of Americans are $400 away from being homeless. 60% of Americans are $400 away from homeless.
That's time, Jamie.
Thank you.
My name is Bradley McGinnis. I live at 6 Lincoln Street. I come to you today as a person in long-term recovery from drug addiction, having spent some time in this town homeless at my lowest. I know that some of the council members have known me since I was a child. You know that I had a good upbringing. I was just a victim to the social epidemic affecting people in this town. Having been in the position of being homeless, I can tell you that I was one of those that was not self-reported homeless. I was too scared. I was too ashamed. I was looked down upon. I was talked down upon. I never panhandled in this town, but when I was found sleeping in public, I was shamed. I was not offered help or any sort of resource during the time that I was homeless. In 2014, the shelter that we had at the time was full, And so I ended up sleeping under bridges. I slept under cardboard and plywood. And this topic here, this hits close to home for me because I have many friends that have suffered and died in silence, being homeless in this town. I want to appeal to humanity tonight. I don't want to lose anyone else. I take it upon myself. I have an electric scooter. I go out and I check all of the places around town where I know the homeless people stay. I have Narcan more people than I can count. I have Narcan more people than I can remember. I would just want, like I said, to appeal to your humanity tonight. And I want you to understand how desperate this situation truly is. And I mean no offense by this, but I think that we should spend our tax dollars not first and foremost upon gentrifying this town, but upon taking care of your constituents. And that's all I have to say this evening.
Thanks, Riley. My name is Stephanie Renner. I live at 98 Douglas Avenue. I'm going to talk about some of the harms that are caused by arresting homeless individuals and alternative solutions. I'm here today to speak about an issue that affects many people in our community, homelessness, and how arresting individuals who are homeless is not a helpful solution. Instead, I'll share with you some alternatives that can provide real support and make a positive impact for both those experiencing homelessness and the broader community. Across the country, some municipalities have adopted policies that criminalize homelessness, which is what this legislation would do if it gets passed, including laws against sleeping in public spaces, loitering, or panhandling. The idea behind these laws is often to encourage people to move along or to clear unsightly encampments, but what these laws fail to recognize is that arresting homeless individuals does not solve the underlying problem of homelessness. In fact, it can actually make the situation much worse. First, arresting homeless people does not address the root cause of their homelessness. Many people experiencing this are facing a combination of issues such as lack of affordable housing, mental health challenges of most vulnerable people in our community, job instability, or domestic violence that cannot be solved through incarceration. Rather than getting people the help they need, arresting them leads to a deeper cycle of poverty and instability. For example, a homeless person who is arrested may end up with a criminal record that makes it even harder to secure housing or employment, pushing them further into poverty. Moreover, jailing homeless individuals is costly. Law enforcement and the court systems are often already overburdened, and incarcerating someone simply because they don't have a home is not a responsible use of taxpayer dollars. A study from the National Coalition for the Homeless found that the average cost of keeping a homeless individual in jail is roughly $40,000 per year, money that could be better spent on prevention and supportive services. So what are the alternatives? Let's look at some solutions that have been proven to work in communities across the country. Number one, housing first initiatives. One of the most effective solutions to homelessness is the housing first approach. This strategy focuses on providing permanent, stable housing to people before addressing other issues they may face, such as addiction, mental health challenges. Housing first programs prioritize getting individuals off the streets and into a safe house, and then provide the necessary wraparound services to help them stabilize. Studies show that this approach dramatically reduces homelessness and leads to better outcomes in health, employment, and overall quality of life. Cities like Salt Lake City have successfully used this model, decreasing chronic homelessness by over 90%. By focusing on permanent housing first, individuals can begin to rebuild their lives without the constant fear of displacement. Number two, supportive housing and shelters with comprehensive services. Shelters can play an important role, but they should not simply be a place to sleep for the night. Shelters should offer comprehensive services, including access to mental health care, addiction counseling, job training, and housing assistance. This holistic approach helps individuals address the multiple factors contributing to their homelessness, making it more likely that they can eventually transition into stable, permanent housing. Programs like Portland's A Home for Everyone initiative combine emergency shelter with access to supportive housing and resources. The city has seen a reduction in the number of people experiencing homelessness, with an emphasis on long-term stability rather than just temporary relief. Solution number 3, expanding access to mental health and addiction services. A significant percentage of people experiencing homelessness suffer from mental health issues. Instead of arresting individuals who are struggling with these challenges, we need to provide access to mental health care and addiction treatment. When people are treated with dignity and receive the right to care, many are able to recover and rebuild their lives. Solution number 4, increasing affordable housing and rent control. One of the most effective long-term solutions to homelessness is increasing the availability of affordable housing. Solution number 5, collaboration between local agencies and nonprofits. Communities can also work together to provide more effective solutions. Local governments can partner with nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and businesses to create a network of support. This collaboration can lead to more resources for job training, temporary housing, and emergency funds, helping people get back on their feet. For example,
Ms. Renner, that's time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Meet Elliott, 590 West 5th Street, apartment 6. Can I set this here? Is that okay? First, my thanks, and this may not apply to everyone. It won't apply to everyone on council, but it does apply to everyone. I thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to the people of this city. Thank you for stepping up to serve your community. And then this gets it. Thank you for representing all the people of Chillicothe, not only the ones who have homes. Thank you in advance for voting no on this anti-camping proposal, whoever of you might have the courage to do so. Because Chillicothe cares, right? We do. We care. I think, don't we? If nothing else, thank you for waking people up in this city. By proposing this controversial ordinance, you have brought the eyes and ears of Chillicothe to these chambers. You have brought awareness of the people to the intentions of our city's leadership. Now we have a growing number of citizens tuned into this institution and asking questions. Our people want to know that our council acts responsibly, ethically, and with transparency. You have inspired us to now do more to hold you, our public servants, accountable for your actions. Speaking of which, I'd like to know where to find the minutes of your meetings. The most recent on the web are from May 2024, so 9 months are missing. Why isn't it easier for a citizen to get information when they request it? This is a question I hear from multiple people. Folks are demanding
Mr. Elliott, those
transparency.
were updated today.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. I hope that the meeting minutes are being taken very thoroughly. I'm not the only one asking for this transparency to be better. I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm berating you. I apologize for that. A little worked up and nervous, to speak to you honestly. I recently emailed council members using a metaphor of a cat playing whack-a-mole to illustrate how ineffective enforcing this ordinance would be. I bring you another metaphor today. In his book, Poverty by America, Pulitzer Prize-winning author Matthew Desmond discusses what is at the heart of poverty. Poverty, which is the root cause of hunger, physical and mental health, and substance use conditions, and yes, homelessness. As for the metaphor, Desmond quotes Tommy Orange saying, "Kids are jumping out of burning buildings, falling to their deaths, and we think the problem is that they're jumping." His goal with the book was to try and redirect our attention to the fire. That is our challenge today in this city as well. I call on everyone with a stake in this city to redirect our attention to the fire. What's the fire? I'll spell it out really quickly for time's sake. Poverty, along with mental health and substance use conditions. That's the fire. Our unhoused population, they are the kids jumping out of burning buildings to their deaths. Metaphorically speaking, the proposed ordinance tells our police officers to police the area around burning buildings, looking for kids who have jumped. If I'm an officer and come across a kid dying on the ground, am I going to say, "Hey, you can't jump"? Not here. You have 24 hours to find somewhere else to jump. I know your legs are broken, your lungs punctured, and there's still a fire. But when I come back tomorrow, if you're not gone, you'll get a ticket. Come on, I'm not going to do that. No one in their right mind would do that. Let's redirect our attention to the fire. Let's catch those kids who are jumping. Many thanks to Ross County Community Action and all the other fine folks doing the Lord's work to catch these folks when they fall. Now is the time to build a stronger safety net. Let's help these kids find safety. Let's not kick them while they're down. And finally, let's focus on finding ways to put out the proverbial fire. One last thing on that note.
1 minute.
How many of you support increasing access to mental health and substance use resources within the city? I don't know if you're willing to give me a show of hands, but I do wonder that. How many of you would really support that and prove that you support increased access to mental health and substance use resources in our city? Another last thing, how many of you have read the Affordable Housing Study commissioned by Community Action, the Hope Partnership, and Adina Health? I'm assuming some people have. It's good stuff. Please read it. There may be a quiz. I don't know. That's all I have. Thank you again.
Hello, lovely to see you all today. My name is AJ. I live at 81 North Main Street, and I'm here to talk about transparency.
AJ, could you give us your last name, please?
Taynor. Taynor. So the first thing I want to comment on is Mr. Elliott said that the last update to the minutes on the website was from May of 2024. I am currently looking at that website on my phone at this moment. There is no minutes for 2025, and there's nothing past May of 2024. I am looking at these minutes right now live. They are not on the
I'm being
website.
told they're on there. Thank you.
Then I invite you to come over here and show me on your phone
check
where
that
that
later,
is.
but you
I
can
invite you to
always-
do it before the meeting ends. That being said, there is a large issue with transparency within our Chillicothe government. I grew up online. I grew up using the internet, knowing how to find things, knowing how to look things up. I have used the city website many times to find information. It took me 10 minutes of intentional, purposeful digging to find the email list to sign up for notifications about these meetings and about committee meetings. I'm 25 years old and grew up with the internet. How long is it going to take my mother, my grandmother, someone who doesn't have a phone, doesn't have a computer? How long is it going to take them to find this information? Transparency is key to building the integrity and trust between our government and ourselves, the community. And yet, I do not see any transparency across this wooden border. All I see is a brick wall where information is made difficult to find and difficult to access and understand. I understand that.
We'd like to show you, it is on here.
I've got the Chillicothe Ohio website.
I've got the Chillicothe Ohio website pulled up on my computer and on my phone, and you go to the City Council tab, scroll all the way down, and at the bottom it starts with 2025, and it has minutes, legislation, and then it goes on to 2024 down to 2019.
Thank you for telling me this.
You're welcome.
After the meeting, if you could show me that more closely, so
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
report and post that, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yep. we sure
That
will.
being said, the website is not the only way to find information, or at least it shouldn't be in today's day and age. Nowadays, if you want to find a website, if you want to find an event to attend or find out about something to do in town, I don't go to Google. I go on Facebook. I look on Instagram, Twitter, X, even TikTok to find events. Because that is where information is most shared nowadays, is on social media. Our social media pages, before a month ago, had not been updated in months to years. Up until the first committee meeting where I first stood up and asked City Council what email list they were talking about, while telling us that they were, and yes, you told us all about this meeting. I had no idea what you were talking about. Before that meeting, which was at the beginning of February, the last update to that Facebook page had been from October of 24. Before that, I believe was April of 23. In today's day and age, that's unacceptable. I don't know who is responsible for reporting these minutes, for finding this information, recording meetings, and sharing that online where anybody and everybody can find it. but I believe that is everyone's responsibilities. Not just us, the people, who are currently taking our time and volunteering to record. There's no reason that it's on us to do full recordings where everything is seen, everything is heard. But instead of just a recording that shows a forward-facing view and only has sound when a microphone is on. In today's day and age, we have the technology to do far better. So why has it fallen to me to find a group of people, to my friends to work together, to my community to gather ourselves together, to organize in order to bring this up to the standard it should be held to. You all are the ones being paid to do this. You all are the ones who have the resources, have the time to share this information, to make sure people can see it and understand it. You all are the ones who bear the responsibility to create full transparency between yourselves and the rest of us. How many people here knew that this meeting was happening today because of City Council?
Zero.
How many of you are here because you heard about it from your friends? Because you heard about it on social media? Yeah. For those of you wanting cameras, please pan. Show how many people are only here because of social media, because we heard about it from our friends, rather than hearing about it from the City Council, whose responsibility it is to share this information. I do not mean to shame or scold any of you. I simply want to make sure that all of you are fully aware of the discrepancy in transparency and responsibility. Thank you.
We want to thank the participants for speaking this evening. We have gone way over. 15 minutes is normally allotted, and we've been at over 30 minutes now on this topic.
Right?
Per topic, correct. Is there anyone that would like to speak on another topic this evening?
If that's all right.
On another topic?
On another topic, it might be tangentially related, but that's only tangential. First off, I didn't realize there'd be people here tonight, so I dressed casually. But it also points out to those who donate blood here at Chillicothe, that it's a good idea to. Hey, Steve helps out. I have a blood donor buddy over here, Stephanie Renner. And my name, by the way, is John Thacker, 990 Columbus Street, apartment 307. Sorry, I left that out. But that's not why I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk about item number 6, which, by the way, is half of 12, but it's not half as important as far as I'm concerned. I will give you up front that I am a board member of the Assistance House. The Assistance House is a nonprofit that, quite honestly, part of their job is to make sure people don't fall into homelessness. And you know what? It's $400 away. We see every day how that can happen easily. People who are working in Chillicothe who figure they play by the rules, but maybe they don't have enough this particular month for rent. What we're trying to do is to help more people at a time when there's plenty of need. The item is up for a second read. I won't go into a long discussion about how it got to the agenda. That's kind of under the water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. I want to thank Lisa Bennett for all that she did on our behalf. But I don't want to be recriminating or anything of that sort as to what might have happened. We had an eloquent speaker speak at the, again, I don't know if I could say at the anti-camping review session. Take that out, I exit that out. But she spoke about how the Assistance House helped her to prevent from becoming homeless. Our motto is, help us, help others. We try to do that every which way we can. There's always going to be a great need. We just want to be able to meet that need better. There are other people who, the person who spoke at that review session spoke eloquently. Our executive director, Margaret Gill Daniels, has spoken at the committee meetings, as has Sharon Burhoff. They can speak more eloquently than I can, but they're not here right now. I do see also one of our board members, but she doesn't want to know today. She probably doesn't want to point around. But, if you vote for it tonight on the second read, that's fine. You don't have to. You can wait for 2 weeks. We've been pretty patient. We can continue to be patient. We certainly respect the fact that you folks will give it due consideration at the proper time. So, but I do wholeheartely ask you to support item number 6 when it is to come up for a vote. And thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Dawn Zarbosh. I live at 59 Mead Drive, and I'm also a board member of the Assistance House. And I just, I think people don't realize a lot of times there's so many people that are working three jobs, 2 and 3 jobs every day. Don't really get to see their children much. I hope you pass this. We really try to we help people with utilities, rent. We help people with shoes. A lot of people can't afford shoes for their kids. So I'm hoping that you'll pass that. The other reason I came to talk was to talk about March is Women's History Month, and unfortunately in Washington, a lot of these websites are being taken down and trying to erase women's history. Sally Ride has been taken off the NASA website. Who else? Let's see. All of the people I used to know, Wax, that would, Waves, I guess they were, that would carry planes from Dayton all the way to California with supplies during World War II. They have been taken out of the military website on women's history. So I'd like for you to remember that this is Women's History Month. There is an event that can help us understand this film. It's called Iron-Jawed Angels, and it will be held at Ohio University's Chillicothe campus on Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. It tells the story of Alice Paul and Lucy Burns, 2 suffragists who were pivotal in securing the 19th Amendment, which gave us the right to vote. It highlights their tireless efforts, including their protests and hunger strikes in the face of opposition from political leaders and even the broader public. So I want to take a moment to call on City Council to recognize Women's History Month as an important time in our community to reflect on and celebrate the many contributions women have made in our city, state, nation, and not to forget women's history. It's not trendy to be female right now. It's certainly not trendy to be a person of color. It's not trendy to be a person that's transgender. And I would like us to remember that this is a community about everybody.
Thank you. My name is Don Wilkes. I live at 156 Hanover Drive. Unity in our community is something that we celebrated recently, but do we really have unity in our community, or do we have some that want to close an eye against misogyny, homophobia, unsheltered folks phobia? So many issues that perplex us as a community, but it seems to me that so many of our citizens have stood up time after time after time, starting 3 years ago, on that homeless issue.
Mr. Wilson, we've already spent our time on that issue this evening. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's what led to the unity in our community issue, to combat that prejudice and innate exclusionary sense that unfortunately so many seem to enjoy. And I think it falls up to the citizens and city council to sew up, repair the unity in our community that we so desperately need. In fact, there's something that I'd like to share. It's such a complex thing that we have to keep in mind in our everyday lives. I think we should pray about it. I hope you join me. Heavenly Father, bless these homeless people, bless these people that are persecuted, women, others, dark-skinned people, all the people that are in the margins. Fill their heart with hope for the future, for today. Comfort them as they walk their difficult paths. Bless them with food, water, shelter, health insurance, jobs that will let them afford housing. Give them the power to wrestle with whatever personal demons and win, and to be able to access the local resources to help them achieve those goals. Give them the freedom to say, God, I'm not okay, I'm not myself, I'm drained. Calm my mind, heal my heart, and take my worries away. Help us all, O Lord, to know that you love us, and help us to understand and care for the issues and people that you care about. I ask also that you soften our hearts so that we can find empathy, open our mind so that we recognize facts from bullshit. Bless us all. In Jesus' name I pray.
Hi, my name is Donna Meyer, and I live at 179 Church Street here in Chillicothe. I want to thank everybody for letting me speak today. We're at a crucial point in our history where the choices we make today will affect the future of our planet and our communities. Our environment faces significant challenges: rising temperatures, pollution, and loss of natural spaces. Yet we also have the power to make a difference through small actions in our daily lives. Being environmentally conscious and eco-friendly is more than just a trend. It's a necessity for the health of our planet and the well-being of all living things. So why is it important to be environmentally conscious? First and foremost, the health of our environment directly impacts our health. From the air we breathe to the water we drink, everything is interconnected. When we damage the environment through pollution or overconsumption, we also harm ourselves, our communities, and future generations. One of the most urgent issues we face today is climate change. Our reliance on fossil fuel, industrial agriculture, and deforestation has led to an increase in greenhouse gases and rising global temperatures. This has caused more extreme weather patterns, rising sea levels, and threats to our ecosystems. By adopting sustainable practices, whether it's reducing waste, conserving energy, or supporting clean energy, we can mitigate these effects. But beyond these global challenges, we also have beautiful local outdoor spaces that we must protect and enjoy. Here in our community, we are fortunate to have wonderful parks, bike paths, and natural areas that not only provide us with recreational opportunities, but also serve as crucial parts of our local ecosystem. These spaces are vital for our well-being, offering places for physical activity, relaxation, and connection to nature. Our bike paths are an excellent example of how we can make sustainable choices in our daily lives. They offer an eco-friendly way to get around, reduce our carbon footprints, and promote a healthier lifestyle. Whether you're biking to work, running errands, or just enjoying a weekend ride, our bike paths are an asset that helps us stay connected to our community while reducing our reliance on cars. In addition, our parks offer a sanctuary for wildlife and a space for families to gather. By taking care of our parks, we're not only preserving beautiful green spaces for ourselves, but also protecting habitats for local animals and communities. Keeping our parks clean and preserving green spaces will allow future generations to enjoy the same natural beauty we have today. And speaking about our parks, I would like to ask the council if we've heard anything from ODNR about what we're going to do about the possibility of having avians present in our waterfowl population in the park. Does anybody have any clue?
We'll have to get back with you on that. I think we'd have to talk with Mr. Bonner, Parks and Rec Director, to see.
Yeah, I don't have the latest as of today, but the last I heard, basically, ODNR is our waterfowl resource expert. We're just doing everything that they tell us to do. Maybe we'll do another press release or something to update us, so that I'll publicly get more information.
Thank you for asking that question.
Absolutely. It's also important to recognize that environmental consciousness is about sustainable living. We have the power to make choices that support both our community and the planet. Simple actions like reducing waste, recycling, supporting local farms, and choosing eco-friendly products can have a lasting positive impact on this environment. By supporting sustainable agriculture and locally grown food, we can reduce our carbon footprint while strengthening the local economy. Moreover, being environmentally conscious has direct benefits for our health. Reducing pollution and using eco-friendly products helps create cleaner air and water, which ultimately contributes to better overall health. By embracing sustainable practices, we can all contribute to a cleaner, healthier environment. We are also fortunate that our local community continues to support green initiatives and clean energy products for local environmental programs aimed at reducing waste and protecting our water resources. This is a call to action for all of us. We must continue to work together to create and sustain a thriving, eco-friendly community. By being mindful of the environment, we're doing more than just protecting the earth. We are ensuring that future generations will have access to the same beautiful outdoor spaces that we cherish today.
1 minute.
As we continue to enjoy the incredible parks and bike paths in our community, let's also remember the importance of taking care of them, whether it's picking up litter, conserving water, or supporting local sustainability initiatives, or recycling everything we can recycle. Every small action makes a difference. In conclusion, being environmentally conscious is not just a responsibility, it's an opportunity to make a positive impact on the planet and on the well-being of everyone in our community. Together we can create a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable world. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
President Payne, City Council. Thank you so much for letting me talk tonight.
Do you mind giving us your name and address,
My name is
please?
Neil Harrington. I live in the village of Laurelville, Ohio, which is in Hockey County. 16117 Maple Street. It's a small town. I was going to talk to you about bike lanes in Chillicothe. I spent a lot of time in Chillicothe. I was just bike lanes. That's one of the business somewhat familiar with it. I'm here to talk and speak about the important issue that affects the community's health, safety, and environmental well-being, which is the need for bike lanes. The community continues to grow. We must ensure to create safe, accessible, and sustainable transportation options for all roads. Bike lanes are not only an effective way to reduce traffic congestion and pollution, but they are also essential for the safety of cyclists and pedestrians in our area. I saw about 105 years saying I was going with children and going hiding pot and trailer kind of thing. So they are out there. The importance of bike lanes will not be overstated. Provide safe space for cyclists and allow them to ride as safe as they want. Without designated bike lanes, cyclists are forced to share the road with cars, which can be dangerous for road traffic. I also got hit by a car on my bike. We see firsthand that many cyclists are hesitant to ride on a busy street because of the risk of accident. As a driver, they are uncomfortable with cyclists on the road. The bike lanes help solve this problem, including marking space for both cars and cyclists, creating an environment that's safer and comfortable for everyone. In addition, bike lanes offer significant environmental benefits to promote use of bicycles, which are clean and sustainable alternative to driving. They reduce traffic congestion, lower carbon emissions, save air traffic moving along, improve air quality. These changes can make Chillicothe a healthier and more eco-friendly place. There are also health benefits as well. Of course, it's a low impact cardiovascular exercise and proven to improve overall health and fitness. Creating more bike lanes are encouraging people to live more active lives and reduce the risks associated with sedentary work, such as heart disease and obesity. More people feel comfortable with biking, the more likely they are to put it into their daily routine. whether it's needed to work, running errands, or simply enjoying time outdoors. Bike lanes have economic benefits. I guess if I understand correctly, this would intersect with item 8, that they can fund last year. If I got that right. But basically, you have more people going alongside, like in front of stores. People talking, associating with each other. They're relatively inexpensive compared to the cost of building new roads or expanding highways. Making the cost of the road.
1 minute.
I'm old. It's funny, I do this stuff about. I got my first cell phone in the. But I remember, as you might, when handicap ramps were not a thing, there was this curve, so you would see people pushing forward in the curve, upward. You had kids in there, they were difficult. I have done that. But when they were introduced, there was a lot of pushback from legislators, developers. It was considered too expensive. Now we have something that everybody uses. Bikes right up the ramps, people walking up the ramps, pushing trailers up the ramps. There's strollers. And it's
That is time, sir.
Thanks very much.
We do appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Today I want to talk about a program that has played a pivotal role in shaping the future of countless children in this community and in the United States. Head Start. As many of you know, Head Start is an early childhood education program that supports children from low-income families, helping them gain the skill and foundation they need to succeed in school and beyond. This program is essential to the well-being of our children, families, and our communities as a whole. However, Head Start is at risk. Currently, the program is funded under a continuing resolution, CR, that is set to expire on March 14th, 2025. If Congress fails to pass FY25 budget before then, a full budget before then, Head Start could lose critical funding, and we may see devastating cuts to this vital program. The funding that is being proposed by the Senate's Labor, Health, and Human Services, Education, and related agencies appropriations bill would provide an additional $700 million to Head Start, including funds for a much-needed cost of living adjustment and quality improvement funds. However, the House version of the bill proposes only a fraction of that amount, just $25 million, which, when adjusted for inflation, would actually result in a loss of funding for the programming and staff. If Head Start loses its funding, the consequences will be severe. Classrooms could close, services could be drastically reduced, and countless children could lose access to the early learning opportunities that are so crucial to their success. We could see fewer children receiving the services they need to overcome barriers to education and to start their academic journey on a strong footing. Without proper funding, families could face even greater challenges in securing affordable quality child care and education. The reality is that Head Start's future is uncertain. Under the current national administration, we must ask ourselves, what is our community going to do to protect this program? If these proposed cuts go through, what steps will we take to ensure that Head Start continues to thrive and serve the children who need it most? We can't afford to wait for someone else to act. It's up to us, local leaders,
community members, citizens, to come together and advocate for the future of this program. We must put pressure on our members of Congress to pass a full fiscal year 25 budget that supports the Senate's proposed funding levels for Head Start. This is not just about funding. It's about the future of our children, the well-being of our families, and strength of our community. In addition to advocacy at the national level, we must also look at how we can protect and support Head Start here at home. If the worst happens and funding is cut, we will need to explore local solutions to keep the program running. We must ask ourselves what resources we can tap into, what partnerships we can forge, and how we can ensure that Head Start remains available to our children in face of these challenges. But we must act now. We must take action today, whether it's emailing our representatives, joining local advocacy efforts, or speaking out at meetings like this one. We cannot afford to stand by and allow Head Start to lose the funding it needs to continue its critical work. If Congress does not pass a full-year funding bill, a government shutdown could disrupt services, furlough staff, leave thousands of children without access to these essential educational resources. We can't let that happen. Head Start is too important, and our children deserve better. So I ask our community, and I ask the leaders gathered here today, what will we do to protect Head Start? How can we ensure that this program, which has served so many children and families in our community and our country, continue to thrive for years to come? Let's come together, speak out, and demand that our children's future are prioritized. We owe it to them, we owe it to ourselves to ensure that Head Start continues to provide quality early education and to support our most vulnerable children. Thank you for your time and attention.
Hey, good evening. My name is James Martin, 276 West Water Street. Thank you all for having us today. I'm part of Karen. Did anyone talk about this issue earlier? Well, I'm glad they did because it's very important. But I'm not here to talk about that. What I'd like to talk to you all about is streamlining city services and the accessibility towards those services. So, for example, it's become increasingly important to people in our community, especially those juggling the demands of work and family. We need to streamline services to make it more accessible, particularly for working individuals who continue to grow and evolve as a community. It's essential to ensure our services are efficient, accessible, and effective for everyone, especially those who face barriers in their busy lives. I imagine all of you guys have lots of issues, especially have lots of issues maintaining their busy lives and getting everything done we need to get done. Many families in our community, especially those with limited resources, face significant challenges when trying to access public services. The complexity of applying for assistance, navigating multiple agencies, and scheduling appointments makes it often difficult for working parents and individuals to get the support they need. Long wait times, limited office hours, and unclear procedures can create unnecessary stress and prevent people from getting the help they deserve and need. As a community, we have a responsibility to make sure those public services are accessible to everyone and as accessible as possible to those who rely on them the most. That includes streamlining processes, improving communication, and making sure that our service offerings are available in times and in ways that work for the people who need them. People with full-time jobs, multiple commitments, and other challenges. For example, offering evening and weekend hours for essential services or providing online platforms where individuals can apply for assistance without needing to take time off from work would go a long way in easing the burden on working families.
One of the most significant barriers for working individuals is the lack of flexibility and the timing and the accessibility of services. Many working people cannot afford to miss work to visit government offices or attend meetings or complete paperwork during the traditional business hours. This makes it harder for them to get where they need to get the help that they need, often forcing them to delay or give up on accessing vital resources. Altogether, by streamlining services, we can ensure that people can access the support they need without sacrificing their jobs or well-being. We also need to acknowledge the importance of digital accessibility in today's world. Many services are moving online, which is an excellent opportunity for those who can access them. However, not everyone has the technology or the internet access to navigate these online services. It's kind of a conundrum. It's critical that we ensure these services, these systems are user-friendly and available in multiple languages to provide support to individuals who may not have access to the tools necessary to complete the applications. Ensuring online services are available is just as important as having in-person services for those who prefer face-to-face options. I was online the other day, and
1 minute.
I from the military, huge history buff, and I noticed that they had removed the Enola Gay from the Military History Command website. That's the airplane that bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, or actually it was just Nagasaki. So that was because the word gay was in it. Weird English thing. U.S. government. So anyway, improving access to online isn't just a matter of convenience, it's a matter of necessity in today's day and age. And I noticed that some of the city services are available online. There's still some gaps where you have to go in person. So that's one of the things that I want you all to focus on, and I thank you all for your time and attention this evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Faye Dyke. I live at 89.5 West Main Street. I've just been asked to share some information with everybody today. My buddy AJ has created a Facebook and a YouTube channel called Chillicothe City Tracker. No S, just Tracker. And we usually hang out outside of the building after these meetings. So if you would like any information, or if you would like to be put on an email list, or have another mode of contact where you can receive information about meetings and events that are going to have to do with activism or stuff to do with city council within the community, just go ahead and reach out to one of us that you see out front.
Thank you.
I'm Galen Coltonbach from 505 McKellar Street, and as I said the first time I talked here, I've lived here my entire life, and something that I've noticed coming to these meetings is I would say that it comes from a lack of representation of the average person from Chillicothe on this council. I don't see you as the average person I've run into in Chillicothe, but one of the things I've heard a lot is, that we're a small community and the small community can't handle these things. That's not true. I want to reiterate again, there's over 20,000 of us. A lot of us are just busy, a lot of us are poor, a lot of us are struggling. And when things are inaccessible, like information about what's going on in our town, when it's not being fed to people because they are so busy surviving all the time, it's going to get it gets really hard for them to be involved. You don't hear our voices very often. I don't care whether or not it's deliberate or malicious. If it's incompetence, it's not incompetence. That should be on the city council. But there's other rhetoric I wanted to address too. One thing about the small community thing is we're a very capable community, and walking around downtown, I see a lot of the advertisements for our working class routes. And sometimes I think it can come off a little paternalistic because it is, again, for tourism to bring people in while pushing us out. It's gentrification. That's what's happening to us. I live on a street where I know half the families on that street have been there for generations. I worry about them getting evicted. Luckily, that hasn't happened yet. But I live in the East End as well, and that tends to be a very stereotyped part of town. And I also know that people from my background tend to be seen as stupid and illiterate and incapable of bolstering ourselves. But in this town, we can have our own economy. We don't have to just have tourism to depend on it. We don't have to attract other people. We are all already here, and we've all been here for a very long time. And I have an issue with this council not really taking care of the people who are here and who've been here, and caring a lot more about the people who are touring and staying in Airbnbs that were once homeless. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Tana Cydrus. I live at 415 Lundbeck Road. I am not good at public speaking. I will just say that right now. I wanted to mention two things. One thing is involving housing. A proposal to maybe try to reach out to some of the landlords here to see why some of them are not involved with Section 8 and see if perhaps if they need renovations to the homes that they're renting out, see if we can gain access to grants to help assist them so that they can pass inspections to be involved with Section 8, which would help with the housing situation. Because if their houses are not up to standard, that leads to two problems. The first problem being that that's less housing that we can gain access to for people in poverty. And the second one being that if their house isn't up to standards for Section 8 housing, then that means that we are only enabling slumlords. And I can say personally, as someone who has lived here for almost 28 years, my junior and senior year of high school, my mother and I lived in a slum on 2nd Street. And I missed almost half of my school year because I kept getting sick over and over again. This is not just a housing issue, this is a health issue and multiple other issues involving education. So if we can reach out to some of these people to see if we can help maybe enhance the buildings so that they are safer for families to live, and we can have more access to public and government assisted housing. If their buildings are up to standards and they're not involved, I know you cannot tell people what to and what not to do with their properties, but maybe we can come up with some incentives to maybe help get people to try to participate in that, and that might help us with our housing crisis. My second thing is more of a complaint because it wasn't until about 4 speakers ago that I was able to fit in here, and I can't hear, and I couldn't hear anything going on until I was able to come in and sit down. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, friends. My name is the Reverend Terry Williams. I reside at 47 and a half East Main Street here in the city of Chillicothe. And you can start the timer. I have a question first, and then I have an item I'd like to speak on tonight that is not the item that we are no longer allowed to speak on. I have a question particularly about the special session meeting that was held on the 26th of February. I'm interested to know because a couple of public records requests that I have made, thank you for replying to those, for those of you who have. One of the public records requests that I made actually showed that the item for that meeting was not in the hands of the clerk, or some council members until about a day and a half before the meeting. And I noticed that there was nothing in the meeting minutes about waiving the 3-day receipt rule. I'm just interested to know, for those who were at that meeting, which this says were 7 of the 9 members, if any of the 7 of the 9 members remember whether or not the 3-day receipt rule was waived during that meeting.
What meeting date again?
It was the 26th of February, the special meeting.
What was the item?
The item, it looks like it was the law director's office manager. It was the 3-day receipt rule waived during the meeting.
It was the $10,000 that was given as a donation.
Was that the one on the temporary assignment?
Yes.
I believe that's a 24-hour requirement for a special meeting. Am I correct?
Well,
on that?
the special meeting notice is 24 hours, but you have to have legislation in your hands 3 days before, according to council rules. And if you don't, you have to pass a 3-day receipt rule waiver, which is what you passed today about the agenda. So I'm just interested to know, and you all can get back with me on that later.
We'll probably have to talk to Kevin about it.
Okay.
Because he oversaw that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just interested to know, because I kind of saw that and expected to see that in there. The item that I would like to speak about today, with my remaining time left, is section 505.14 of the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe, which is, by title, keeping and harboring animals within the city limits, livestock in particular. We remember, some of us who are here when there aren't a bunch of people around, when there are only a couple of folks here. I usually get a whole pew to myself, by the way. Some of us remember the long hours that we spent talking about livestock in the city limits. Chickens and pigs and goats and steers and all kinds of things. It was a long time. It was like 3 separate sessions of council. It was introduced in one. I believe Ms. Gillum, who had represented the 6th Ward for a while, she sat on it for a whole year, and it didn't really get worked on until after and into the new session. Now, I was interested, particularly given other controversial legislation, which I won't mention by name, but it's important to know when we spend our time on these things that they're worthwhile. I was interested to know that piece of legislation that we spent so much time and so much effort on, that there were so many people interested in, that it caused such an uproar, and it was pushed through with what I would say is a pretty divisive process. I was interested to know how many people have been impacted by that legislation, what kind of impact it's had. Surely the enforcement had to be immense, tremendous. There had to be, to change the law in that way, there had to be such a previous issue and a post issue that it should be established. But when I reached out to the law director's office, and Teresa Wood, who is a saint because she deals not only with the public but with Reverend Williams, Teresa Wood was able to respond to me and let me know that since 2022, no one has been prosecuted under section 505.14 of the codified ordinances. So the legislation we spent all the time and all the effort and all the energy on, what was it used for in the end? Now some could say, oh, it's preventative. Well, that's good. I would just encourage you that, like the livestock ordinance, when you take time and effort and energy of yours and ours to work on legislation, make sure that there's an impetus and a need, and make sure that it's going to get used. Because otherwise, we're all just running our mouths for nothing. And I really hope that's not the case. You know I'll keep running my mouth regardless of whether it's for nothing or not. And I have a feeling you will too. But let's just remember, in this place, it's important to make sure that what you do is done for a cause and for a purpose. You don't have to pass every bill that comes to you, and you don't have to keep digging in your heels on things like livestock or whatever else might be in front of you.
That is
Thank
true.
you.
Hi there. My name is Catherine Rappa, and I live at 214 Vernon Drive in Chillicothe. I've been involved within our community for many, many years. I've heard so many people from all generations speaking about coming together as a community. I would like to just make a blanket statement to council here tonight that many of us are here because of topics that are near and dear to us. I would like to request that council tonight keeps that in mind for all topics, especially when it comes to things that we may not agree on. Let's not just talk, let's come together. We have the resources, we have the capability, we have the people. I think we've proven that tonight, that we can come together after our jobs and be able to advocate for people of all walks of life. I really do appreciate everybody's time here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I think we will move on at this point. I want to thank everyone that's focusing on number 20 and speak, and we are listening. We are going to move on to old business. Any reports in old business? Responses? Mr. Perry?
President Payne, we have item 11 and 12 on the agenda, both dealing with the tax levy. I think item 11 was not fully updated, and item 12 is, do we need to have item 11 removed from the agenda permanently?
Yes, we do.
Okay, if that's so, then I make a motion that we remove item 11 from the agenda.
Do you have a second? Mr. Pearl, second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
That has been removed. We'll move on to petitions. Oh, Justin, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Well, now that we've seen how easy it is to remove something from the agenda, I will try it myself. After listening to everyone, I think they've all said everything that I would hope to say, a lot better with a lot more heart. And I tell you, everyone that showed up and spoke, I really appreciate you coming in. And this is the way government is supposed to work, is for the government to be of the people and by the people. We're up here as your representatives, but we are not in some ivory tower. We are supposed to be your servants. And in doing so, taking to heart the many comments and points brought up about item number 13, I think it's clear that not only do the people not want this, there's not a clear path for how this really improves things. This is a piece of legislation that, is written to just bully a group of people, to be honest. We could do better, and we better do better. I'm going to ask that I make a motion that we table this piece of legislation tonight, and I would ask for a second on that.
Come on!
There we go.
We do not have a second.
Please.
Let's come together. Let's do this.
Okay, we are going to move on to petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Payne. Other than multiple emails about the roundabouts and the public camping legislation, I have not received anything.
Thank you. New business? Okay, we'll move on to reading of the ordinances.
Thank you, President Payne. We have 14 items on the agenda this evening. Item number 1 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating $276,050.65 received from Public Entities Pool of Ohio for use towards repairs to the roof at city-owned property located at 400 East 7th Street and declaring an emergency.
Roll call, please.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Kroll,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
This ordinance has been adopted.
Item number number 2 is the second reading of a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to apply for Ohio Public Works Commission grant funds for the year 2026 to enter into an agreement with the OPWC and accepting grant funds if awarded.
Move to the next, this item will move to the next agenda, item number 3.
Item number 3 is the second reading of a resolution consenting to the proposal submitted by the Ohio Department of Transportation to resurface a portion of US 50, beginning at South Watt Street and continuing east through the city.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 4 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating funds to purchase 2 traffic controllers necessary for the Ohio Department of Transportation Bridge Street project.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 5 is the second reading of a resolution authorizing the filing of applications and proposals with the Ohio Department of Transportation for SFY 2027 grants through the US DOT Federal Transit Administration as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 US Section 5311, formula grants for rural areas, and the Ohio Transit Partnership Program OTP2 grant, both in Ohio's Rural Transportation Program and grants authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 US Section 5339, grants for buses and bus facilities, Ohio's Bus and Bus Facilities Transportation Program, accepting such grants if awarded, executing a contract with ODOT upon project approval, and declaring an emergency.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 6 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating $20,000 from unappropriated general funds for the Assistance House of Ross County Incorporated.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 7 is the second reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating Attorney General's Office reimbursement funds received as reimbursement for police training in the amount of $37,517.03.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 8 is the second reading of an ordinance reappropriating funds that were appropriated in the 2024 budget and not yet spent or encumbered at the end of 2024.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 9 is the second reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to issue a request for proposal to solicit a firm to administer the PY 2025 and PY 2026 Community Development CDBG programs and enter into an agreement with the awarded firm and authorizing the awarded firm to file an application for the CDBG Community Development Allocation Program and competitive set-aside grants, including but not limited to Neighborhood Revitalization Grant, Downtown Revitalization Grant, Targets of Opportunity Grant, Critical Infrastructure Grant, Economic and Residential Infrastructure Grant.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 10 is the second reading of an ordinance authorizing the city auditor to create Fund 254 Appalachian Community Grant Program and accepting and appropriating the city's Appalachian Community Grant Program award from the Ohio Department of Development in the amount of $34,819,990.
This item will also move to the next agenda.
Item number 11 is the first reading of a resolution declaring the necessity of amending sections 163.013F, 163.03, 163.08, and 163.16 of the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe in order to renew the existing 0.2% levy that expires on December 31st, 2025 at the same rate and for exclusive use toward the continuation of street paving, repairs, and improvements for a 10-year period beginning January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2035, resolving that said amendment should be placed before the electors at the election to be held on November 4th, 2025.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 12 is the first reading of an ordinance adding Chapter 555, prohibited camping, to the codified ordinances of the city of Chillicothe, Ohio.
This item will move to the next agenda.
Item number 13 is an ordinance, first reading of an ordinance appropriating $36,000 to cover the city's costs for the Ohio Department of Taxation deficiency balance from the municipal net profit returns in 2024 and declaring an emergency.
This item also moves to the next agenda.
And finally, item number 14 is the first reading of a resolution authorizing the disposal of municipal property that is not needed for public use or is obsolete or unfit for the use for which it was acquired in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, section 721.15, by way of auction and declaring an emergency.
This item moves to the next agenda. That takes care of all the items. We have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Bennett. Do you have a second? Second by Mr. Barnes. Oh, for a minute. You don't need a second.
Bennett?
Yes.
Payne?
Yes.
Barnes?
Yes.
McKeever?
Yes.
Dement?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Kroll?
Yes.
Creed?
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.
Can I ask everyone, just for a moment, to stand up and praise Gus for being
Yes.
Thank you.
Addresses, their emails, and their postal addresses. If you sign up, just let us know.
Everybody needs.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're getting to be a mover and shaker with local activism.
I'm trying to be.
If you want to sit down with me,
Hmm?
do an interview, explore what you're doing sometime in the near future.
Hmm?
Not too soon, I'm going to go away.
No worries, I feel that.
If you want to reach out to me, and we can meet and chat.
Okay. Absolutely, I can reach out for you. No problem, Kevin. Okay. Once again, today's date is March 10th of 2025, and that was today's regular city council meeting. Thank you.